with it. What are those chirping? Whatever it is.
Yeah. Good
Talk
morning.
of the Walk podcast. Good morning to those things in the trees.
Cicadas, I believe.
Cicadas.
Yeah. Good morning.
To cicadas. Don't be quiet with their little violent cicadas.
It is my Friday.
So this dollar in a box game.
Oh, that thing. Yeah,
I just want to talk about that dollar in a box game thing.
Right.
So I'm like sitting there, like waking up, like what's going on? He's like, hey, I want to try something with you. This is what Shaun says. And he puts a dollar in a box, but he has two boxes, one empty, one with a dollar. And then he has his son and me sit across the room from each other, gives us each a box. His son gets to open his box and look in it. I got to keep mine closed. And he goes, you get to determine if you want to offer your box to
keep
Brendan.
it or swap it.
Yeah, keep it or swap it. But at the end, I get to determine if I want to swap back or keep without looking in the boxes. So his son opens his box, says, I'd like to swap it. And I go, okay, well, it's only $1. My mindset was going, his son either doesn't realize that he's being posed with a dilemma of either reverse psychology or pushing away something you don't want and accepting something you do want, which is pretty much what you're in that moment doing. He's either going to hold on to what he thought he wanted, or he's going to push away something he didn't want, or he's going to opposite, push away something he wants in the hopes that I trigger that as him showing weakness and see it as strength, you know, art of the war type of stuff.
Yeah, it's like, can I deceive you?
Now,
and that was the whole point of the game, right?
In the end, I believe it's just a 50-50 when I was thinking about it, and we can talk if it is. In the end, I'm either going to keep or I'm going to swap, right? Back.
Yeah.
I mean, after he says, I don't want this box, I'm going to keep or swap back.
But you get the final choice.
Now, in the end, I guess I could have said, let me swap back, because you're a kid and you can only think on one levels. You wouldn't think, you know, and that's why it's still my me.
Like you're gonna,
me and you do it, it's like, I'm gonna keep, but he's gonna think I'm gonna keep, so he's gonna swap back. If he thinks I'm gonna swap back, then I should keep. But if he thinks I'm gonna keep and then I'm gonna swap back, then he's gonna keep.
Like the fifth level.
Yeah, how many levels do you go down?
Yeah, the Princess Bride thing with the two poisons, right? Would I put the one closer to you or closer to me? So then, inconceivable. That's a great fucking moment in the movie. Inconceivable. Maybe if there's $1 in both boxes, that's how, you know, or there's both boxes are empty, and then you really mess with people, right? So I just chose to keep my box. We both open our boxes up. I have nothing in my box, and your son has the $1. He duped you.
Now, did he dupe me, or did I dupe myself?
Did you dupe yourself?
When you're left with something like that, should you even use the person and who they are? Does that even come in handy if it was just...
What if it's just one person in two boxes?
Yeah, and they're like...
Pick one.
Well, yeah, that's what it's pretty much like. If you were to sit me down and go, there's a box close to you and there's a box farther away from you. Pick a box. To me, that's what essentially you were saying with me having the last choice. But then there's that, well, one little factor of this person saying you should take this box. So then you can even put that in the factor without the other opponent. You can be like, there's two boxes. The right box is the one most people would like. Which box do you want? What are you talking about? Who's most people and why would they like it? I'll take the, you know, I'll maybe go with that. So that's a pretty good thing. But what I was thinking after that, what that kind of sparked my head in, was the prisoner analogy.
Yeah, the prisoner's dilemma.
The dilemma. So here's how I heard it, okay? That you've both been suspected of a crime. Not that you are found with doing something, but you're both suspected of a crime or something, okay? And you have 4 options. You put in 2 different rooms to interrogate each other, and getting interrogated, right? There's either...
I thought it was 3 options.
I thought it was 4. So
okay, so go ahead and tell me how you have it.
The first one is you stay quiet, and the other person stays quiet. Okay, you don't snitch. It's either snitch or tell. Okay?
Neither one snitches. Both get away.
Snitch or keep the secret. So you either snitch and that person doesn't snitch as well. So 2 people who don't snitch. Okay. The benefit of that is what they would say is,
let's just say A and B.
Neither one of you snitch. You both get 1 year. Okay, for this crime.
Okay.
If you snitch,
if A snitches,
and B does not snitch, he keeps the secret, then A gets 0 and B gets 5.
Yeah.
Obviously, the reverse of that is if you keep quiet and B snitches, you get 5, and A gets 0. And then the third one was if you both snitch, you get 10.
Yeah.
Okay. So those are the 4. So,
like a Pungate square.
Yeah. So you have both keep quiet, both snitch. One snitches, A snitches, B keeps quiet. B snitches, A keeps quiet. So then you have, and then the outcomes, and those are the outcomes. You have 0 to 5, 0 to 5, 1 and 1, or 10. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you look at strategy, and not being able to rely on, I guess, on that person, it's in your best interest, because you don't want 10, so you might as well take the 5, even though you both could have gotten just 1. Okay. Yeah. And you're supposed to take the 5. You're supposed to snitch. That's the strategy.
It's also at a probability scale and everything there. Yeah. The probability that the other guy would snitch is 3 to 1. You know, things like that.
But if the other person has the same concept of strategy, then they're going to also snitch, which instantly puts you at 10, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, it's in my best interest to snitch, so I have to now, and I'm assuming my opponent knows that it's in his best interest to snitch. So now we're both snitching, and we're both getting 10. Okay. Yeah. So that's the problem. Is that how you heard it? Yeah,
it's very similar. Very similar. Yeah, just where I combined the both outcomes where if A snitches, B doesn't, B snitches, A doesn't, it's the same outcome basically. One person, not one specific person. Yeah, but same premise.
Okay. Yeah. Now, the what I heard was the faultiness of this, and maybe this is because that's a dilemma and how that works in that scenario.
Yeah.
It's quite possible that by not snitching, you don't even get 1. You actually get 0.
Yeah.
And it's that threat and that fear of something that's really messing with this situation.
Yeah.
Because if you were suspected of a crime and you were being interrogated, you should probably say nothing until there's evidence presented to see if they even have a case.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know that's like going beyond the scope of the game, but and so when you're talking about snitching or not snitching, or how many, it's a hard concept to put in reality. It's more of just the like, what do you do so that you can figure out the probability?
Yeah.
When in reality, if me and you get caught for something, we're walking around here, whether we do something or not, and we get picked up, they put us in 2 different rooms. You just sit there and go, I'm not saying anything. I'm talking to a lawyer, I'm not going to say anything.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming that's actually the best strategy, rather than I'll say anything to get 0 and have them get 5. Yeah. It's really, there's a possibility that both people get 0 because this is the law system.
Okay, yeah. So if we're talking outside of a game, right? outside of a game, the best answer to that is I want to talk to my lawyer.
So then for your game, since I was just playing that in my head while I was looking at it, is the best opportunity to assume that your son is trying to push away the dollar, so I just choose my box so that he gets the dollar, because what's it to me? It's not that I'm getting duped, it's that I'm just giving somebody I could have taken his dollar back his dollar. Like,
here's the question. If I let you look in the box, what would have you said?
I mean, you could have said, I want to swap, or I don't, or you could have said mine.
Okay,
I guess you could have actually said, but he would not believe you. Mine's the one with the dollar in it. What if you just straight out said, I have the dollar?
You could have said anything.
The dollar's in my box. But then he'd be like, no, you're lying. Then he really got messed up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. I'm like, and I probably could have played along and been like, I'm keeping my box.
Yeah, it's like, so are you trying to lie? You know, what's your strategy? Is it strategy? Is it mind games? Is it just... I mean, it does boil down to 50-50. That's all it really does.
The probability that you actually guess right, if you don't know what your opponent's tricks are. If I had a dollar in my box, maybe it's my levels of complexity, and maybe this isn't. Maybe you're just... I would want to tell people I will hold my box, because then... they would, I guess if I'm trying to like dupe somebody or not, maybe it's just my internal, I want to keep what I want close.
See,
simple as that. There's a dollar in my box, I want to keep it, so I'm going to keep what I want close. I want to keep this near me.
My strategy, if I were to look would always be the lie.
Ah.
That's my strategy. I always lie.
What your son essentially kind of tried to bluff. It would be the bluff.
Always lie.
Always lie.
Is that mentality there, or is that strategy? You know?
I guess to really mess with your game, what I could have done, and if I thought about it, what I could have done is tell your son his box has the dollar in it, but I'm going to keep my box just to help him out. Then it would have been, wait, what? Yeah, I know what you're doing, and I'm forfeiting anyway. That would have been actually the ultimate, like, ha-ha, right?
Yeah, well, again, the next step, right? What if I put a 20 in there? Right?
That would actually
becomes, what if I put 100 in there? You know, what if I put a key to a brand new car?
My question is,
you know,
how many times is it still 50-50? So say you have $500 bills, and I'm not even trying to talk get into your son's head, and he's just like, he opens his box and he goes, I want to keep it, I'll take mine. Okay, next one, and then we play it again. I want to give it away, I'll keep mine. Oh, you got me. No, I'm just like always picking rock at that point. You know what I mean? Like, oh, and then let him do it. Oh shoot. Okay, I want to keep it. I'll take mine. Ah, you got me. I'm not getting anybody. You know what I mean? You're overthinking the problem.
That's like rock, paper, scissors, right?
Yeah.
The easiest way to get in somebody's head is to say, I'm going to throw a rock. Before you start,
I'm going to throw a rock.
And then you throw a rock.
And then you throw a rock.
And people are like, wait a minute. You said you were good. I didn't lie to you.
I didn't even lie.
Let's do it again. I'm going to throw a rock again. And then you do it again.
You throw a rock?
You throw a rock again.
This is the psychology of this? Of the simple games we play?
I promise you, if you do that 2 games in a row, say I'm going to throw a rock and then I'm going to throw a rock again. And then the third time, say I'm going to throw a rock and then you hit paper. Guess what? You just won 3 times in a row. I'm going to throw a rock. No, you're not. Boom. Gotcha. I'm going to throw a rock. Boom, I got you. Go throw a rock again. Paper. Gotcha.
Paper. Okay. And so here's what I'm saying. I mean,
or scissors.
This kind of stuff can be done at any time. So 2 years down the line, someone's going, what's this podcast about? And they see these things. Go do that.
It's a dumb game. Yeah.
Go play all 3 of those dilemmas out with your family. Go do the dollar in a box. Go play rock, paper, scissors, but announce what you're going to do. Make sure you play 3 times and see how that works out for you. And not the prisoners with dilemma. I mean, don't go get caught with a crime, but
no, you can do that with money, right? If you say, you know, you have a third party, and basically you just turn it. If you both say you want the money, neither of you get it.
Oh yeah. That's exactly.
Yeah.
So you can either
you just do it with like cash or something, right?
Do it with cash, correct. So you get nothing, and it's the opposite. The numbers are opposite. Rather than getting 10 years, you get $0, but you can each walk away right now with $1. However, if you say you want that dollar, and
if you're screwing somebody else over, you get 5.
You get 5. Okay, cool. Yeah, you can easily do that. So just little tidbits of information.
A kind of a weird place to start, but
hey, no, that's good. I think when you talk about inventing games, it's these types of dilemmas you could put people in that could become a game, where the game is like, okay, here's my stuff, but a mechanic of this game is to try to, like, there's plenty of games that try to screw job you over, like that chameleon game. You know, like there's tons of games. BS is one of those games that, if you ever played the BS card game, where you're trying to be like,
I got 4 of a kind.
4 2s?
No.
And you're like, well, does he have all the 2s? And if you do have all the 2s, who's to say you actually played all 4 of the 2s?
Yeah, it's a clever game.
And you're like, I don't have a 2, I don't have 2, I don't have 2. So he has all 4 2s. I only played 2 of them. I got rid of my other cards that I didn't need.
You know what's really funny about bullshit? They turned it into a kid's game called Fibber. And if you screw up, you got to put on like this little nose on a mask, so your nose grows because you get caught.
Like Pinocchio?
Because you got caught lying, right?
Oh, okay.
So you turn a drinking game into a kid's game.
That's
like, how often does that happen, right? It's kind of funny.
I wonder if it happens all the time, or if it's vice versa. Kids games get turned into drinking games.
The floor is lava, right?
Speaking of all this stuff, I have typed out the way that I would want people to play Cock of the Walk card game.
Gotcha.
Okay, now I don't have the actual like prototype that I'm making of the cards. Like imagine if I wanted to actually issue this myself, and I got to play my own suits, or I got to make my own, you know, like I got to do it myself.
Your own art,
So all I used was a deck of cards, 52 card deck with the jokers in it if you want, or not. But you got those 54 cards at the most, right? and you probably need at least, was it 4 dice?
4 dice, yeah.
So you need 4 dice. You could use 1 and roll it 4 times and just a piece of paper and a pencil, but 4 dice and a deck of cards, and you can read on the description of maybe this one, maybe this exact
the game
this
podcast,
particular podcast one, like whatever episode this is. I might even name this episode the one where we explain Cock of the Walk card game as a prototype, so you can play it. I'll post a YouTube video of when we were playing it and what it kind of looked like, and then see if that catches on. See if people go, this game sucks, or if you guys, the world, can game test it. You know, you said I want game testers.
Well,
test this game with your friends and see. You know, every time you get one of your cards knocked out, you got to take a drink.
Yeah, time to throw a monkey wrench in your game. Where's your marketability? You just gave everybody every item that they need to play your game.
And I'm even giving how to play it, right?
Yeah. So like,
well, time out though. Like, I can make my own Monopoly board.
Of course.
I can make my own Catan board.
True.
I can do Yahtzee without buying Yahtzee.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
You got a point. You got a point. You got a point.
Like, yeah, you're right. Like, oh, you gave it all away up front. Absolutely. You know.
It's the artwork you're buying at this point, you know, or whatever you put on the cards.
Well, I mean, to me, once I put it out into the world, it would be, I published it first, even if I couldn't copyright it or have the money to copyright it. I've got the audio and I've got the explanation of this type of game. So
you got the intelligent property, or the
intellectual property,
property.
So, but yeah, you're right, dude. Like, like, what did you do that for? You're supposed to hunker down and keep it a secret. My phone has been recording me coming up with this event. Google already has it. They're trying to push it to production. I don't got that kind of time or resources.
Just give me a deck of cards and four dice.
Yeah,
I'm good to go.
This is how to play it. So, Cock of the, and change the name and tweak it a little bit and call it your own game. You know, like who's taking competition and screw jobs there. But okay, so is there anything that, now that was all trivial and fun, any stories or dreams?
Well, okay, you mentioned yesterday about, you know, helping me push and develop, you know, a game that I had put together. It's a card game. It's a little more in-depth and involved, and it's special characters and special landscapes and blah blah blah, a whole bunch of crap, right?
Yeah.
So I can't just be like, hey, this is, you need a deck of cards and you're good to go. It doesn't work that way. Haha.
Yeah.
I got marketing strategies in my head here. Anyway, a long time ago when I put it together, I wrote up the actual rules.
Okay.
Like physical rules, right? And I printed them out so we can play test it today. You said you wanted to help me?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, like, I put some time into it, so we'll pull it out and give it a shot.
For sure. Pull it out, give it a shot. Maybe even record what it looks like to be played in the way that you have. If it's the game I think it is, when I played it, because of luck, I was unstoppable.
Oh yeah.
And that, I don't know, and we said, like, is that a glitch or the feature?
True.
You can win this game just because.
Yeah. Well, like you said, even Pokemon the game where you played it semi-professional, like tournament style. Yeah. It does come down to luck of the draw.
I went to a Pokemon card tournament years ago, and my deck and someone else's deck, we just happened to have it. Now, it wasn't necessarily build your own deck. It was you buy like a pre-box, or you like buy a certain amount of cards and then packets or something, and then you build your deck out of those cards with energy. And whatever the guy pulled, he just pulled such bad cards or couldn't make such a good deck that he could only place one Pokemon on his field, or active Pokemon, and none on his bench.
You knocked him out, he had no bench.
Yeah, so we started and it was like, your turn, my turn, I knocked you out. Or no, then it's like, it was my turn first. My turn, I'm gonna put an energy on. Your turn, you're gonna try to do something, but you can get another Pokemon out. My turn, I'm put another energy on, attack your Pokemon, it's dead, and I win.
Boom.
What?
Luck of the draw.
Competitively? Yeah, luck of the draw, buddy.
Yeah.
And it's not supposed to be that way, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Again, we can work through some of the minor things, and I had even had like extra features that you can do crap that like we can just either throw away or keep in if they, you know, become kind of interesting. I don't know.
Okay.
Again, the thing that halted me, honestly, turned into a bit of artwork, and it also turned into how to promote it and how to push it out there, how to, you know, go to a game designer and say, help me get this out of prototype. I don't know how to do that.
I don't, that's the thing. I will work with this world, and I mean, honestly, I'm going straight to Craigslist, and I'm going straight to like Facebook, and I'm going straight to any other.
Well, here's the great thing, right? You never have to reinvent the wheel. Somebody's done this before. Somebody went somewhere, so just follow what somebody else has already done. And
I think that's a great concept to always keep in mind, because
with almost anything,
that's music. No, and we can go in, right, because I know you want to talk about where music's going.
Yes, yeah.
When we talk about music, when I think about music, yes, there is certain artists that do something within a song, or that song itself is unique. And I think of like Kendrick Lamar, who's a rapper, and I like some of his what he does at the end of his song on the song called DNA, and he just starts like he just starts rapping, and it's just at the end, and it's just like, this is how I'm gonna end the song. It's gonna be this really cool thing. It's almost like ending with the equivalence of a really sick ass solo, if you were playing rock music, like I'm gonna go crazy, and you're not gonna go back into anything? No. Boom. And I was like, that's pretty cool for the rap world, and maybe it's been done before, but I didn't hear. Now, but at the same time, and I'm just gonna use Kurt Cobain, he was always like, I'll use the word embarrassed because I don't know how he actually felt, so I'll just pretend. He would always, you know, he knew that some of his songs were either super easy to play, or they followed some of the same structure in chords that he liked from bands that he liked. So he was always worried he was going to be outed for copycatting,
being too simple.
Now, how do you think when, you know, and when people go, Kurt Cobain, oh, genius, lyrical genius, musical inventor, you know, created music beyond his time, like, so. But he felt he wasn't trying to reinvent the wheel. He was just going, this sounds good, I'm gonna go with that. Okay, well, let's take this a step further, right? Okay. One of the most sampled drum beats. You're a drummer, I'm a drummer. One of the most sampled drum beats that has ever been recorded and has been used in multiple different genres, different across the board. John Bonham's When the Levee Breaks. Okay. Beastie Boys used it, right? Like, it's all over the place. It's been sampled, and it's just right? Oh, it's just one kick, one snare, two kicks, very simple, and it's been sampled over and over. And when you hear it, you're like, yeah, that's When the Levee Breaks. That's Bonham. Really? It's a simple beat. Is that not the same beat to We Will Rock You? Or is it a variation, because that's double kick, hit, double kick, hit. Temper's fast, though. Okay, yeah. Anyway, if you hear it, you know it. It's I'm trying to think of the Beastie Boys song. Getting old, you lose it. You lose it. But anyway, rhyming and stealing. Okay, yeah, rhyming and stealing. That's starts rhyming and stealing. It's literally, they stole. Rhyming and stealing. Oh, that's funny. That's a little irony, lyrical. Or, yeah. So again, right, that drum beat, right, super simple drum beat. It's been sampled over and over and over again. And you're like, are people stealing that music? Are they honoring it? You know? So, I mean, that's kind of, you know, where you're going with the whole Cobain thing. Is he paying homage and tribute to bands he likes? Yeah. Or is he stealing that? Or is he stealing it? And I guess the difference between that now and then, or whenever, whatever is are you trying to make money off of that, though? Yeah. Like, everyone's trying to make money off of their skill set. Let's not like put shade on someone who goes, what's your skill set? I sing, I can play some guitar, I can do some drums. What are you trying to do with that? I'm just trying to, like, actually live in this world doing my things I like. Oh, you're stealing songs and you're doing this? Because that happens a lot in music nowadays. It's like, you put out a song, it's too similar to this song, you got to pay your royalties to that song. Well, wait, what? Let's go back to Vanilla Ice, right? Oh yeah, that totally happened, right? Stealing Under Pressure, you know? And then the argument was, that one's a beat off. That's an octave off on one note, like dun 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 dun. Note. No, mine dun 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 dun. Yeah, it's like, it's the same damn thing, bro. But anyway, give me your royalties. Yeah, but anyway, the whole point I was going to try to make with music, right, is the idea of a rock band. Okay. Is basically disappeared. It's basically disappeared. You don't have a guitar player, a drummer, a bass player, and a singer. You know, a singer might play an instrument or not. You know? Think of your basic Metallica group. Yep. Or even like Aerosmith, that's got 5 people or 6, or how, you know what I mean? They have a singer. That guitar player, bass player, rhythm, drums.
it almost doesn't exist anymore, or if it does, it's not.
Elaborate, because I feel like that I can think of examples where it does exist, but I would like to know where you came up with. Is it specifically in rock music, or
I'm kind of going more rock music? Yeah, when I'm just trying to think, because
I was gonna throw a band out like Fall Out Boy.
Let me go. I guess
a 4-person band. I've listened to them for at least a decade. They're maybe punk. Now they're pop punk.
I guess let me clarify my statement, I suppose. Okay. Right, the popular music now. Most popular music is poppy music with some type of pre-recorded synth or drum machine or a rapper that's rapping or talking or whatever. I don't particularly like rap. Talking over some beat.
That's been produced in a studio somewhere.
It's in a studio. There's no guy sitting behind a drum making that machine and making that beat. There's nobody playing that guitar, playing the Taylor Swift rhythm that she's singing over. You know what I mean? It's all
pop music then. So and the closer that I can say, when you talk about popular music, it seems like it's an artist who's accompanied by a band of some sort or musicians of some sort. Sometimes or even they can even be called hired guns.
Yeah, stage musician or stage musicians. Studio.
Yeah. And then the bands that are still lingering around are relics. Well, they're like another band I like is Newfound Glory. They're still playing shows there, and they have about the same lineup that they had before.
Sure, but how old are they?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
The idea
they got to be decades old. What's a band that has come out of?
Well, you even told me one thing that floored me, and that's kind of where like this kind of spawned from. Is one of the albums that you had, and you have a drum beat on it, and you said, "Yeah, I didn't even play that." Like they pieced that together. They took a little beat from here and a beat from here. Said, "You want drums on 1 or bass on 1 and 3, and snare on 2 and 4," and you're like, "Yeah."
Yeah,
and you didn't even play
pretty much. What's it called? Like choreographed? No, like composed. I composed the drums to an engineer or technician who said, "So this is what you want them?" I was like, "Yeah, it's this beat per minute."
And you didn't.
I said, "This is specifically when the kick hits. This is when the snare hits. Then now do a crash. The roll's going to be like this kind of roll."
You composed it, but you did not play.
But I didn't have to get into the studio and actually go, ha 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 ha. Here's it on the click track. Here's what I'm trying to do.
Right.
And that's a concept that I didn't create. That's a concept that I heard bands like, and maybe I'm wrong, but maybe the guitarist too, Dragon Force, who plays. He's actually able to write out the song on the computer.
Compose it.
Yeah, so that he doesn't have to go into the studios for hours and be like, here's exactly, and I could be wrong, maybe he's like, oh, how dare you, but like there's other artists that put their mind of music into the computer, and the computer generates what that would sound like.
So my argument, I suppose my base argument turns into, is technology taking over for talent. And
that's the good.
And yes, you still need talent to create music and to compose these riffs, these sets, these songs entirely, whatever it is. You need the talent to compose it, but the talent to actually play your instrument is that. I mean, you're only going to get that in a live setting anymore.
In the live setting is when it comes out, and because of so much studio work, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So technology has taken over for talent, and not talent per se, but let's say the artistry of playing your instrument.
For sure, and here's my like to go on top of that. How many arenas are getting filled by a guy?
Well, not anymore.
I know, but like emceeing, or like someone who has the ability of a computer to make the sounds of a drum and guitar and weird techno sounds.
A DJ can draw a crowd.
Yeah, a huge crowd. And you're saying, hey, I would like you to actually play any of the. No, I actually only play the electric box. But the box in itself is
the instrument. No, let me turn that up. Let me add some reverb
while that's going on. And he's repeating it. And you're like, what are you playing? I'm playing the computer. My instrument's the computer. And so you couldn't sit on a kit and do that? I don't know how to play drums. I know how to make the drums pop out of the speakers though.
Yeah. So technology has taken over.
That's
my argument.
True.
That's where
I think there's a lot of truth to that. Yeah.
So again, like, you and I, right? You play bass, I play drums, right? You sing. We grab a guitar player. What do you do with that? We don't need this anymore to create a song.
Yeah.
right?
It feels like it's more, the jamming is more of like therapy for people who like music, as opposed to the way to sell music now. It's not the way to actually get into the industry. You can't just have this jam band. You can't just be like, hey, I'm doing all this stuff, because the industry doesn't need to waste the money on that. They can streamline your music by saying, how's it played? We got either like our studio has studio musicians. We can put your song together in a second. Every
note, every sound that you want to create, we can just do that by hitting a button.
Yeah, we can do that with buttons. And then we can push that out, see if it sells at its high quality studio sound, where we can, you know, layer things and make sure that the pitch is correct and the timing's correct and there's no hiccups. And if it sells and you need to play a show, oh, well, we'll just throw some actual musicians together that actually read music, and they're like,
they can actually do that.
And all you do is go sing over the top of that.
You know what? We'll have auto-tune work on that for you too.
Yeah.
Right. Right.
I wonder if that's true, to be honest. Like, okay, so I understand your concept. I understand what you're saying, and that's disheartening to feel like,
the future of music is in a box.
The future in music is okay if you're specifically thinking about being an artist in that, but if you're thinking about being in a band and I know plenty. There's a band called Panic at the Disco.
Oh yeah.
It's pretty much the guy who sings, and I don't know if he even has the same members of his band anymore, kept the name, but has just been like, well, it's all about brand recognition. So you get out there any way you can, get that brand going, and who cares if your band members fall out? Blink-182. Who cares if you lost the drummer, replaced it with Travis? Who cares if you lost one of the starting founding members and replaced us with Matt?
Sounds good. That's all I want to hear.
Alkaline Trio. Who cares?
Well, what is it? One of the bands.
It's the band. It's the brand.
One of the bands I kind of like, 21 Pilots. I think it's a guy and his brother.
Okay.
And they produced it out of his bedroom. If I'm not mistaken, I could be completely wrong.
I know that band. It's a piano player and a percussionist.
Yeah, and he's a pretty good lyricist. He's got pretty intelligent lyrics, you know, and stories he's telling through his songs. That's why I like him, because the lyrics are good. Music's not bad. It's all computer.
Yeah, but I would say, how did those two people specifically make whatever song you heard them play on the radio? Because as soon as there's a guitar in that song, and you know one person's playing piano and the other person's playing the drums, which one of them is also playing the guitar right now?
Exactly.
No, there's not. We had to just layer that.
It's layered. Yeah. So this actual sound of a band will never exist unless we hire a guy.
That's what you're really talking about, I think, because some of the bands that I grew up, they sounded great live, like they did on the album.
Who was one of the classic?
Without adding members. It was like, hey, here's the members of the band. You look on the back of the thing. This guy plays drums. This guy plays guitar. This guy plays bass. Here sings. You go to see them. It's exactly those same people, and it sounds exactly the same.
Well, okay. So one I specifically can think of, Linkin Park. Okay. Right? And again, there's a lot of computer music. They do synth stuff, right? But I heard Linkin Park live is almost identical to studio. Like, you don't get that. You don't get that anywhere. Now Linkin Park, the one members did.
Yeah.
So
well, now you don't get that. Yeah, you definitely don't get that.
Yeah. But like,
tie that back into mental health real quick on this podcast. That was due to suicide. You know that? Okay. Mental health right there. We're tying this back, but okay, keep going.
But like, one of the bands I grew up with hugely, Metallica, right? I mean, they're icons now, right? And I've listened to a lot of their live recordings, a lot of earlier live recordings, a lot of, you know, current live recordings. They don't sound that good live. They don't sound like what I expect them to sound like, because I got so used to the studio sound. And you hear it live and you're like, now as a drummer, right, I pounded a specific sound. Screw it, I pounded Master Puppets into my head. Yeah. I know every fill, I know every change, I know every crash hit,
As played on the recording.
As played on the recording. And I hear it live, and I'm like, Lars, you missed your own fill. Lars, you didn't hit the cymbal where you should have, because I studied that song so hard that I know every nuance of it. And it's his song, and he's not playing it right. But then it's also...
it's your song, how can you play it wrong?
But then it's also, it's his song, he can play it however the hell he wants to.
That's what I say, how can you play it wrong if it's your own song?
So yeah, that's where, like, again, does that make them a horrible live band? No.
No.
But again, you come to this expectation, and maybe that's what being live is about, that you can do what you want. You can add your own little flares or leave out stuff that you don't want to play.
I'm gonna throw this in there just as a as a whatever it is, if that's what they had to do to make their millions of dollars, is to say, we are going to have to give up on how you think a band should be, and we're going to do it how they executives told us a band is in the industry. Sorry that you're kind of noticing the magic trick, but too bad it's a magic trick.
Here's your result.
And the result's millions of dollars for us, millions of fans for us, and one or two people or a handful of people that are like,
where's the band?
Where's the musicianship sound? You know, and it's like, big whoop, there's a band right there. They're fun.
Sweet.
But yeah, like, but like, and that maybe that's what we're stumbling upon, like big whoop, like, no duh, bands don't sound like what they sound like in the studio. You can't have that perfection. You don't get take after take, because I know exactly what you mean when it comes to
maybe that makes me
Blink
like
182 songs. Travis Barker, it does sound like he has a little bit more time and a little better execution on his studio than when you hear it live. And I was talking about Newfound Glory. That's a guy's named Cyrus, is the drummer. I've watched him with his drum cams. He's on cue, he's on the click, he does a great job. I just felt like when I heard it, there's a little more to it than what he's playing. Plus his kit seems to be simple. You know, like it seems like he could walk in on a studio, like on a house kit, and play a song anyway he needs to play it, because he didn't bring us the kit that he has from home, you know?
Maybe I'm a music snob in that regard, where it's like, I want it to sound like you recorded it. Does that make me a jerk? I don't know. I don't think so.
I think they're following the money, to be honest. I think they're going, you know, are you buying, how many albums are you buying? At most probably one, and other people who just like the music, that it's on their iPod or on their phones or whatever it is,
signal.
They don't care about it being that close to live. They care about actually what it sounds like in its best state, in its most pristine state, which is going to have to be a magic trick. It's going to be the computer cutting and chopping peaks of the mic and snippets of voice, you know, stuff like that.
So then, to take this to kind of an extreme, right? Why should I even play the drums? Why should I attempt to even get any better? Personal.
It has to be personal.
Yeah, but I'm making a point. Like, if I want to get big, screw playing the drums, give me a computer. I should probably learn how to get better on that.
I would agree to that 100%, dude. If I want to be great at music, I need to learn how to do it, how it works with the computer. I can't just go out there and go, here's me and my acoustic guitar, I'm going to be a legend. No, you need to learn because of how much studio costs right now, and if you need to be able to try to get studio sounding stuff or decent demos out of your basement, out of your bedroom, out of the bathroom, wherever you can get them. You need to be able to do that and have your musicianship, but like we said, you can maybe actually fake that on the computer, or go to Fiverr and just get someone to do drums for a track you made because you just didn't know the drums to it, you know?
Exactly.
So and if that's the future of music, then I guess so be it.
I guess, you know, in a very short, it saddens me a little bit.
It saddens me. Saddens me is that now we just talked about the definition of depression. What was the definition of depression? I'm gonna make you say it again on another
God,
podcast.
I wish I had it. Like, I printed out the stages of grief because we kept bringing it up in talks, and it's like I wanted to go through.
And it gave a one-line sentence of depression, which was like,
when you finally realizing
the inevitable, right? Something like that. Like when you finally realize the inevitable.
It's like, well, damn, that's a bleak view of what depression really is.
Depression is going, oh my God, it's really that way. Wow.
It's like, okay, so reality hits you. That means depression.
That means you're just depressed.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
you're depressed on something that you should just actually cope with. You actually need to just realize that that's true. That's a fact now.
Yeah. It's like, it's raining today. I've come to the realization it's raining. That's depression.
Let me piggyback on this, because what I saw when I saw that was what mental health is. Okay, so I do counseling. I talked to a counselor yesterday, and we talked about specific mental health. I don't know if we talked about it regarding to the podcast, but how I'm focusing on mental health. And how I believe that people think something's wrong with my mental health. And the concept that we came up with, or that he elaborated on, is when you hear mental health and you hear that word health, you think like how, you know, I want to be healthy. So if in mental health, you want to be healthy in your mental state. So when you talk about me missing my kids, and how I'm sad about that, how it feels like torture, how it's just like, I don't get how someone could wield power to keep me away from my kids this long. It makes no sense, and it makes me confused, and it definitely makes me sad. He's saying that's not a mental health issue. I mean, if anything, you are mentally reacting healthy to that situation. If you were laughing, if you were laughing about that, getting all giddy, and it seemed to not faze you whatsoever, that would be more of a mental health concern than being like, what's wrong? I haven't seen my kids. I miss them. I can't think you know, about other things besides when I can get them back in my life. I'm trying to, and it seems like getting these roadblocks. It confuses me. I did nothing to them ever, and they're out of my life for what seems like forever. And there's no legal way for me to get back in their life. I can't just go to see them. I don't get it. That's a rational mental response to having your kids, you know, ripped out of your life.
And that's why I printed out those stages of grief, because it's literally, you're going through a grieving process. You're going through loss. I mean, you've literally gone through a loss of family. They still exist. They're still alive. They're here. They're within a grasp, but not attainable.
They're not attainable.
So you've lost your family.
And
you're
the
grieving.
weird part is
you're grieving for your loss.
I'm grieving for my family, but but unlike when you grieve for a relative who's passed away,
you can move
45 minutes away. What are you how am I supposed to move on? Like the difference between moving on from a person who's deceased and mine. I'm not saying that it, like if you had someone that you lost that you really loved, a wife, a relative, my situation's worse.
Our hearts go out to you.
Like these situations aren't identical. I'm saying if my kids were deceased, God, oh my God, I would cry, I would grieve, and then I would have to know I'd have to rebuild my life. The fact that they're right over there, I'm just have some guy's power wand in a courtroom saying, you can't see him.
And again, without being dark, death is a finality. There's an end to death. You are in a state of limbo.
A state of limbo.
You've lost, but it still exists.
And it's obtainable. It's obtainable. I mean, in two senses. It's obtainable if I truly
literally.
If I wanted to get in a lot of trouble, I would go. I could see my kids today. I could force my way into my kids' lives today. But
it's physically possible.
But in order to do it in the way that has been structured by the court and the code of law and the stipulations, I have to jump through all these different hoops. So I'm going to do that, but these hoops, there's no, I don't know where the book is to go, here's what that hoop actually looks like. These hoops are dependent on other people's schedule. It's dependent on other people's perception of what I've been doing, like with the job and stabilizing and going, oh, okay, it's all dependent on that. And there's definitely an element where I've been kneecapped so that it looks like I can't stand on my own 2 feet. And I'm pretty sure that's what a good attorney would do. They would go, all right, we're gonna kneecap him. We're gonna go look at this guy. He's you know, rock bottom. He hit rock bottom. We shouldn't let him see his kids until he can stand on his own 2 feet. And then as I try to stand on my own 2 feet, I get the realization of, well, you can't get that job. You can't get that job. You can't live there. You can't do anything.
Whacked with a baton. Stay down.
You've been, and if you do get up, we're gonna whack your kneecap again so that you can't stand up again. And it's like, oh, and that was what I was fighting, I think. That was what was like making me be, like you said, manic, or like just to be like, what is this? What is this? And it's like, where do you come up with all this stuff? I'm coming up with this because I'm trying to do what logically I've been asked to do, only to find out that that's not realistic. So I'm not sure what game I'm playing if it's not get a job, find a place to live, and prove that you're mentally healthy and fit to have your kids in your life. And I'm like, okay, that's what I'm doing. Okay, you did that? We're not buying it. What do you mean you're not buying it? The evidence is here.
I played your game.
Maybe it's even the podcast. Over your podcast, you seem very up and down. It's like, you know, anything you say can be used in a court of law, right? So it's like, look at all the stuff you've been saying. That was me going through stages of grief. me documenting stages of grief for missing my kids.
Yeah, this is,
you know, that's what that is.
And let's lay this out. Like, I complain, I joke, you know, whatever, right? We're not making a damn penny off of this. So you're not doing this for profit.
I'm not doing it for profit. And there's no, and like we said before, maybe we said it on this or not, there's no saying that exactly what everything I say is the truth.
Yeah, it doesn't.
Nor what you say. You can be complaining about a coworker at work that doesn't even exist. Like, we can say this is real, this is true, this is how we feel, but also there's no like under oath. None of this. So if I bring up something, it could be like, that's his opinion or that's his fiction.
That dog that rushed us, that was just sound. That wasn't a real dog. It
could have been, right? Legitimately, there's no way.
We got good with computers.
Yeah, as we talk about how we're not, right? Yeah. So all these different audio logs, they can be taken in this is exactly a finite thing, or these guys are just really good at creating a podcast.
Well, here's my other
creating a podcast that seems very normal.
Let's say this was a diary. You know, can a diary be submitted as evidence?
Can it?
It's just thoughts, right?
It's just random thoughts.
Again, I'm taking it to an extreme that it probably shouldn't have, but like if you
if you're
like, I want to kill this guy, right?
Oh, that's deep.
But if you write, I want to kill this guy, now is that evidence that you're plotting murder?
Oh, premeditated.
Right? If you say it, does that mean?
Are you saying that because it is?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Because I was going to use a similar but different example. If I'm like, man, with the way things are going right now in my life, with all this confusion, I just hate the world. Okay, and then tomorrow I go, hey, the world's a pretty good place. I really enjoy. Can it be used? This man has said he hates the world, therefore prolong the kids being in his life because until we can figure out if he truly does or doesn't hate the world. Like, is that the fickle part of the law?
Yeah, let's pick and choose.
Yeah, let's be really, but I don't know. You know, because if I said it and you're saying, well, what everything this guy says is true, then can't I say the opposite and be true, or what? You know?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to hold you to getting a card game on this podcast.
Oh, for sure.
It doesn't have to be today, but it has to be with this cast. So this release. So I'm holding you to it.
This release.
Yeah.
This actual one.
Episode 14.
Oh, the card game with the Cock of the Walk.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's got to go on this one.
Okay.
I'm holding you to it.
I'm gonna do it.
And we have returned home, and it's hot, and I'm sweaty.
You haven't said your thing though.
I'm going to say my thing.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna say my thing.
Leave me alone. All right. Yeah. So guys, you know how it goes, right? You want to go fast, go alone. You want to go far, go together. Thanks again for listening.
Thanks for listening to Cock of the Walk podcast.
Goodbye.
Hey, this is Brendan from Cock of the Walk podcast. If you like what you heard, you can support us just by sharing the link. That's the most important thing, is to get the word out. If you want to go beyond that, you can do donations, you can become a member and subscribe, or you can even buy some merch. You can find us at www.halfmoonday.com. We are a Half Moon Day LLC production. You can also reach us directly with comments, questions, or topics you want us to discuss at cockofthewalkpodcast@gmail.com or cockofthewalkpodcast@aol.com. We also have a Facebook, and you can find us on YouTube under the Half Moon Day page. On behalf of myself and Shaun, thank you very much for tuning in. We know there's a lot of podcasts out there, and we appreciate your time. Have a good day.